Hello and welcome to FTR TV's coverage of the Aaron's 312 from Talladega Superspeedway, brought to you by Forel. I'm Tyler Head along with Alex Bass and our technical director Case Brinksma, bringing you all the flag-to-flag coverage here from Talladega today. Dustin Lee in the number 51 is on the pole. To his outside, Ethan Lane, Corey Heffley in third, Jeff Ramsdell fourth, and Davey Scoville in fifth. That's your top five starters in a field packed with names that we've seen before in these races. 37 of them will be taking the grid, looking for the victory here today. Bates, what is going to be the key to getting the win here today?
Make it to the end. That is what it takes today.
Now, I understand that there are some special rules that are in place for this race, imposed by our race host, Brendan McGee. Could you go into detail on those for us, please?
Just like last time at Daytona, it's a no-push race until the last lap, and green-white checkers. That's about it. That's as different as it gets, I guess.
So, with that being the case, no pushing allowed until the last lap. We're not going to be seeing any tandem drafting amongst these guys. It's going to be mostly pack racing for the majority of the race until we get to the end. So, I would have to say, most likely keeping track of your engine temp, your water and your oil temperature, that's not going to be as much of a concern today as it would be if we were tandeming.
That is, yeah, no temps to be managed today. It's just going to just go for it. This is the old car. It's got old draft. I mean, you're going to see a lot of three-ride racing if the drivers want it.
Now, in our last race at Daytona, we saw quite a bit of action, but we also saw quite a bit of contact. What has been changed for this race today to try and prevent that from happening?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you can really do. It's just a matter of how much they want to try.
I see a few names in this field that certainly do try, and then some, if you get what I mean. As they go down the backstretch here, they'll be coming to the green flag when they come back to the front straightaway. 117 laps comprising 312 miles here at the Talladega Superspeedway. It's going to be quite a long race, and if they manage to have some green flag action, we might actually see some green flag pit stops. So that'll be another element that these drivers potentially will have to master if they want to get the victory here today.
Most definitely.
And with the draft working the way it is, I would have to say my key to victory would have to just be minimize any mistakes that you do make. Because if you lose the draft and we have an extended green flag run, it can take you out of contention quick. A couple of cautions can bring you right back into it, but you probably don't want to put yourself into a position where you're relying upon that happening.
No, you're definitely not. There in a few of these events we've seen guys intentionally lose the draft to try to avoid that, and it's almost cost them a few times, but they've been getting lucky. I don't know if that'll be the case today.
Only time will tell as the field comes down, looking for the green flag, working their way through the tri-oval. Dustin Lee's going to lead them down here, still waiting on that green flag, and it's in the air. The field is going down towards turn number 1, going through the gears. Number 51, Dustin Lee, gets a bit of an advantage. Corey Heffley pushing him there. The inside line gets a little bit of a jump, and they're already fanning out 3 wide in the middle of the pack.
Side by side through 1 and 2 still. The outside dying off a little bit here. You gotta expect that bottom line to be a preferred line tonight.
Now we see Ethan Lane trying to keep tabs with the number 51 up there in his 18 car, but just nobody behind him pushing there. About 3 car lengths back to Jeff Ramsdell, just not enough of a push for him to maintain there, although he's done a heck of a job so far. And Corey Heffley now thinks about pushing that 18, but now gets back down into the bottom line.
Definitely just testing the waters right here, seeing what to do to get a run, what's it going to get you. As we go through 3 and 4, still side by side through most of the pack.
See some double file through the top dozen or so cars, 3 wide there with Cody Dutton, but pretty calm action here in the first lap. Everybody just trying to get everything underneath the bone, get some laps logged here. 1 lap complete with the number 51 leading that one. And we look at Cody Dutton up there, up top, going 3 wide now, trying to find his way back down to the bottom. He's going to settle in 2 wide there, look for a gap to get back in the bottom. Meanwhile, yeah, they're getting a little bit dicey up there inside the top 10. I'm seeing the number 35 looking to the inside of the 88, 3 wide there, also 3 wide going for the 5th position. and they're double file for the lead, 2 by 2 all throughout the pack.
A lot of guys on the backstretch ducking down on the apron, maybe just to get a peek of what was going on in front of them. I'm not sure.
Dustin Lee and Ethan Lane side by side through the tri-oval. Something to watch here, obviously, at Talladega. The start-finish line not in the tri-oval, but right there as you come down, headed towards turn number 1. That extra little bit of distance can be all the difference. And at the line that lap, it was led by Dustin Lee, but not, it was led by Ethan Lane by 0.04 of a second. Just goes to show how close it can get, with Dustin Lee having had the lead in the tri-oval, but that changed by the time they got to the start-finish line.
3 wide down the backstretch now with Matt Sanders to the outside, looking to get some help from the 33, and he's going to get it.
And Nick Lancaster looking up there, trying to get up to the bumper of Matt Sanders, pushing him up to the outside of Jeff Ramsdell. Now Sanders tucks back into line. We'll see for how long. Meanwhile, still door-to-door for the lead. Ethan Lane getting the advantage, a little bit of a push from Jeff Ramsdell there. About a half a car length advantage as they come down to the start-finish line. And they even right back up as they go down to turn number 1. A little bit of contact, it looked like there. Side by side still, 2 by 2 all throughout the field.
Side by side, first half the field still. Got a little bit of action mid-pack.
We see Ethan Lane loses that lead in the middle of the corner because Dustin Lee has the shorter way around, but it looks like the momentum of the high side allows him to propel a little bit farther forward. We'll just see how this all works out. Looks like the 51 of Dustin Lee's using him up a little bit. Now once again gets a slight advantage as they go through the tri-oval, but once again the 18 gets a little bit of a better run, holding the momentum from the high side.
Almost making contact there through the tri-oval, trying to get every bit out of it. You see Cody Dutton back there slicing around.
Yes, we see Dustin Lee in the 51. He works his way up the track sometimes in the middle of the corner, trying to use up the 18 just a little bit, get every little bit of an advantage he can. And the 18 comes down on the straightaways, trying to get that side draft. Pretty good action here so far as they work their way through. They continue to run side by side. Now it looks like Dustin Lee's getting a little bit of an advantage on the bottom there. All about who gets the better push right now.
Yeah, Lee's definitely going to lead this lap. Just a hit and miss. The high side get to run occasionally, and it's tight.
And you have to be really careful if you're in that second row on back, not to be pushing that driver in front of you. That's a violation of the rules here. Early on in this event, you want to make sure you don't get yourself into trouble with that. But you also want to get as close to the back bumper of that car in front of you so you can get as much momentum as possible.
Yeah, so they got a real good run at the backstretch that time. They're right there at him in the center of the corner, see what they can do coming to the line.
Yeah, we see a little bit of 3-wide action there, but that very top lane not quite being established here yet.
I don't think there's going to be many people up there in the third line at any point tonight.
At least certainly not early on here. Just working lap number 7, it appears.
Wow, 2 cars in 1 lane for the most part right there.
Yeah, they're really getting all that they can get right now up front. It's a really fine line that you have to be working across there. If you cross it, it'll most likely end with carnage, so they have to really be careful about that. But you also don't want to give too much to your competitors.
And after watching a bit of practice today, some of the drivers are complaining that if they enter the corner wrong, it'll snap on them a little bit. And haven't seen it yet, but it's something to look out for.
Now, I spoke to Brendan McGee before this race when he was testing to prepare for this event, and he said that he had improved upon the setup that we had in Daytona. There were also some declarations from drivers after that event that the setup was a little bit of a handful to work with. He felt like he had evened out all the kinks in the armor there as far as that setup goes, but perhaps a little bit to contend with here, but a little bit of a challenge isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, the major problem with Daytona would have been the bumps and the setup combo. Here, you don't really have to face the bumps, and it's working so far.
I'd have to imagine in this race today, with Talladega being as smooth as it is, that would really only present itself as a problem when we get down in the later stages, when everybody's really, really running on each other, even tighter than they are right now, and just the slightest little bit of a correction is going to send people spinning. I imagine that's when it will be the biggest issue.
Big ride down here in 1 and 2 mid pack. They're using up each other a little bit right here, but 2 cars both in the middle lane.
Dylan Landry and Chris Overland, it looks like Overland got to the outside of Landry, and Landry is running that middle line trying to stick behind Nick Lancaster there. Overland working by himself up top, but it looks like he's got a little bit of a run going here with everybody having to check up to avoid bumping each other. We'll see how long that'll work out for him. Most likely not too terribly long, but for now it is.
Gonna get a little bit of help from his buddy up ahead, Corey Carpenter, and it didn't work.
They settle back out 2 by 2, double file throughout the field. Looks like we have at least 2 dozen cars here in this lead pack. And they continue to just be side by side. They have been door to door since the drop of the green flag here. It looks like they did on the grid.
Corey Carpenter back to the outside up in that 3rd lane, trying to work around Matt Sanders, trying to get the run to get up to Jeff Ramsdale.
And when he does that, there's contact, and there are going to be many involved in this. The big one here on lap number 10. Several cars go around. Nick Lancaster in the 33. I see the 47 of Chris Overland, the 36 of Corey Heffley. I think I saw the 3 of Cody Dutton go around. Several cars spinning and crashing off of turn number 4 as they come to take lap 11. The caution is out here at Talladega. Haven't had a chance to look at what happened on that other than when it was happening live, but it looked like it was at the front of the pack where they were giving each other so little room, as we were saying, trying to get every bit they could from each other, and it looks like that led to contact. We'll take a look at it, though. At any rate, it sees the 51, the 18, the 36, the 69, the 33, the 1, the 47, and several others involved, the 88, the 34. And there's a couple more spinning on the apron there in this shot that I'm looking at right now that I'm not quite making out. And with how this worked out, there were several cars that had dropped their way to the back of the pack and out of the draft, as it turned out. And with this crash happening, they were far enough back that they were able to miss this wreck. So their strategy paid off. Looking at the replay, it looks like the 18 of Ethan Lane was clear of the 51 and wanted to get down to the bottom lane to cut off the 51 and, protect his position, but also looked like he didn't want to leave the number 2 of Jeff Ramsdale behind. And when he did come down, the 51 had just barely gotten his fender back there, and that sent the 18 along with many others spinning off of turn 4.
Yeah, he was clear until he hesitated, and now we got a whole bunch of wrecked cars.
All it takes is one miscalculation or one misstep, and not only will it ruin your day, but it will ruin several others as well. Although it should be noted, I do believe, and I'm going to double check this, but I do believe that there is one fast tow in effect for this race. So all the drivers that were in that wreck just now, they're a little bit behind the 8 ball, but they should be able to get fresh cars and be able to get back to racing. But they have to bear in mind for the last 105 laps left in this race that they don't have another one. So they really have to make sure that they don't get themselves into a bad situation going from here on out.
I believe we'll step away for our first commercial break here from Talladega. Big one.
Back here at the Talladega Super Speedway, after having our first caution of the event, several cars involved in an accident coming off of turn number 4, working our way down the front straightaway, coming to the green flag when the pace car peels off onto pit road here. Looks like all but the top 7 cars made their way to pit road either for repairs or for fuel. The first one off pit road, the number 69 of Davey Scoville, it appears. The first car on the track, though, is Jeff Ramsdell. He's going to be leading them down to the green flag here. Green flag is in the air, and they head down to turn number 1, going through the gears once again. They were back racing in Talladega.
And you just got to think that maybe at this point they might calm down a bit. They were racing really hard those first 10 laps, and it wiped them all out pretty quick.
Especially that front duo, when they were racing for the lead there, we noted how they were really on top of each other. We'll see if perhaps everybody else tries to give each other a little bit more room, make sure they get later on into the race so they have something to race for instead of a wrecked race car.
Yeah, like I said, to win this race, you got to finish it. Matt Sanders on the outside in 3 and 4, trying to use that outside to get the run that we've seen all day so far, and not a whole lot of help from behind. They're giving space now, it looks like.
Yeah, it looked like he got a little bit of advantage on that restart. Got a little bit of a jump on Jeff Ramsdell. Had the edge at the start-finish line, it appeared, but didn't have anybody to push him. In the end, that leaves Jeff Ramsdell back in the lead, but now Sanders gets a little bit of a push from behind, and he pulls even with Jeff Ramsdell as they move through 1 and 2.
They're still side by side through most of the field. No 3 wide yet, but they're looking for it.
Dalton Collins on the bottom there behind Jeff Ramsdell, giving him that push, getting Ramsdell clear of Matt Sanders. Steve Bonesteel there behind Sanders, trying to give him a little bit of a push, and now we see a little bit of a third lane trying to establish itself. As it appears the number 69 is up there, Davey Scoville, leading that third line, working its way into the top 5. Dylan Landry and Brandon Hoff also working with him. Now we see Cody Dutton peeking his way up to the outside. Starting to see 3 lanes established here as they're 3 wide for second going into turn number 1.
They're still charging. Looks like the front duo just tucked in and ditched everybody else, but that third line will definitely come in, and it's still working on it.
And it looks like Bone Steel was able to push Sanders to the lead. Sanders went to the bottom thinking the bottom lane had all the momentum, and Bone Steel ended up going back around him. Took the lead himself, went in front of Sanders, and now we're seeing the 69 go in front of him with a push from Brandon Hoff. Davey Scoville to the point at the moment, but not by much and not for long as the 25 comes back on the inside. They're side by side headed down to the triangle.
Going to be close down here at the line.
They are 2 abreast all throughout the field, and for a brief moment we saw that third line working. Just to note there, Davey Scoville did lead it at the line. Later on in the race, when these guys are trying to find a lane to work with, it looks like that third lane will work if you get the right people.
Yeah, definitely can, and they're still side by side for the lead, and it looks like Scoville is gonna almost clear 25, but not quite.
And now he's gonna go to the bottom, and we'll see how that works out. Everybody else who's gone to the bottom has ended up losing the lead because the outside line is taken over. We'll see how this works out. We see Brandon Hoff gets a good run off of turn number 4 with a push from Dylan Duvall. Getting even there with Davey Scoville, and takes the lead at the start-finish line. So another lead change at the line. And it looks like Brandon Hoff is starting to get the advantage here. Eventually will clear the 69. We'll see if he sticks with the outsider, if he dives down to the bottom as well. There he goes to the bottom. So that's going to leave the door open for Dylan Landry. And he's going to pull even. Looks like everybody's just taking turns at the point. All right, I'll lead this one. You can lead this one.
Yeah, it's the draft is just working right now. Got the Wicker Bill, just swapping the lead.
Well, the moment I say that, the bottom line comes back with a vengeance. Davey Scoville gives Brandon Hoff a good push. Hoff is going to keep the lead, and about a car length and a half advantage over that top line right now. Oh, we have a car turned in the back. There are several cars involved. Once again, I see Matt Sanders. I see Jeff Ramsdell. Looks like Chris Overland's involved. The 12 of Drake Alvarado. Corey Heffley involved. Many cars coming to a stop to try and get around this. Another large incident here on lap 19 going through turns 1 and 2. Jeff Ramsdell, the toe is broken on that car. Along with many other things. Well, this is certainly going to most likely take people out of contention for the win. It looks like a lot of drivers who were involved in that first crash found their way into this second one.
This all starts in the middle of 1 and 2. Looks like Corey Heffley just tries to make a gap, and a little unnecessary, really.
Yeah, I don't know if he misjudged it or what may have happened there. It looked like he was peeking on the inside there down the entire front straightaway, but he just wasn't quite there. He went to the inside of the 67 of Joseph Petrick, and they get into the corner, and he just barely gets into him, and that sends him spinning, and ultimately collects many, many others.
Not sure what to say about that one. That's easily avoidable.
Well, I bet from the cockpit, Heffley felt like he had established position on Joseph Petrick, but he really wasn't quite there, and he just ended up getting into the 67, trying to fit into a hole that wasn't quite big enough.
Wow. Those guys coming down, top off on fuel, get damage repair.
We'll have to see how many cars are left running without damage, or at least with minimal damage after this incident, but I'm sure that at least half dozen cars have been taken out of contention for the win, at least in this race. Perhaps they can ride around out there and, hope for some attrition from their competitors to get a better finish, but a win has just fallen out of the cards for several here with this latest crash.
Definitely.
Wish to address, we were looking at Jeff Ramsdell after the crash initially happened. He was not involved in that first incident, and he made a point of not pitting to make sure that his fast tow didn't get used up from any incidental contact. He's able to get his tow, so he will be able to continue to compete, but many others will not.
And for those of you not familiar with iRacing, what a fast tow is whenever your car gets damaged, you get a new car practically on your pit stop, and that's why a lot of guys you saw destroyed in that first wreck were right back at it. And now that if they were involved in the second race, they're done.
Yeah, just trying to look through the names here to see who's still on track. It looks like Tom White is no longer in the event. Chris Overland is retired. Corey Heffley is behind the wall. Trying to look through some more names here. At least those three so far.
Brennan McGee has damage, so I'm guessing that means that he doesn't have any more tows.
I would have to imagine he probably caught a piece of that first wreck, and he got a good chunk of this one. Looks like Matt Sanders was able to avoid the first incident because he was really, really used up in this last wreck, but he now has a fresh car.
Still not going to get the one to go this time. With that, we're going to step away for another commercial break.
And we are back here at the Talladega Superspeedway, bringing you the Aaron's 312. Here live on FTR TV, working our second caution of the evening after yet another large wreck in turns 1 and 2. Several cars once again involved. We were going through the list of cars that had retired or at least had brought themselves behind the wall before we went to the commercial break. Would like to address a few more of those names. The number 18 of Ethan Lane is no longer running in the event. The number 19 of Nathan Haker as well. The number 21 of Cameron Meyer, add him to that list. And the number 30 of Logan Kress as well. So add those names to the ones that we had already established were out of this event.
Still a long way to go in this race. You got to think that after that first time it didn't calm down. Maybe this time it'll calm down a bit. But I don't know. I'm not in the car.
Yeah, definitely a long way to go. Working lap number 23. It'll be lap 24 when we take the green flag here at the line. But that's 24 of 117 scheduled laps, not even taking into account green, white, checkered. So a lot of time and a lot of racing to not only complete, but survive, it would seem.
Yeah, survival, survival, survival. That's what today's race takes.
I'll be interested to see how these drivers approach it now. Most of them, if not, nearly all of them have at least used up their fast tow. Some of them are out there with damage, and they're going to have to see how well the draft is able to make up for the damage that they've obtained. But most of them don't have that safety net anymore, so we'll have to see if they take things a little bit more cautiously or if they throw caution to the wind. And if they do, we'll hopefully not see another incident like we just saw and get some good green flag racing in here. But they work their way down to the line. Green flag's in the air. Brandon Hoff bringing them down for the green flag. And they're going down
there's
towards
somebody
turn number
spinning
1.
at the back.
Looking for the incident.
But the
The
25's
number 25
around,
of Steve
but we stay
Bonesteel.
green.
He's able to get it back going, and nobody else is around him, so not an issue for the rest of the drivers racing, so we do stay green. Meanwhile, back up at the front of the pack, Brandon Hoff has lost the lead to Davey Scoville. He got a little bit of a jump there on that restart and was able to clear Brandon Hoff, but now he goes up, tries to get a push from Cody Dutton, but Cody Dutton says, no, sir, I'm going to take it up to the top 3 wide, try and get the lead for myself.
That's an interesting way to go about it, having the bottom in the lead and wanting to go to the high side. I don't think we've seen that one tonight.
Well, we spoke to Cody Dutton before this race. He said he wanted to try and make things at least interesting. In all the other races that we have, he hasn't disappointed in that department. We can say at least that much. Brandon Hoff is able to make his way back to the lead, though, after all of those events going through turns 3 and 4 and back down the front straightaway. He also has the 69 Davey Scoville behind him, then the double file from there on back. Now Dylan Landry makes a move to the outside with a good push from the number 35 of Corey Carpenter. He's going to get pushed all the way to the lead. Jeff Ramsdale in tow. Now Corey Carpenter dives to the bottom area, turn 3, looking for the lead himself. Jeff Ramsdale to follow.
That would be a power move right there. Corey Carpenter to the point for now.
He gave Landry an excellent push going down the back straightaway and then used that momentum to get back around him. But now, Jeff Ramsdale looking to the outside, trying to get the advantage. Meanwhile, Brandon Hoff back there, getting a run of his own, looking up to the top 3 wide for the lead, entering turn 1. Give the advantage at the line to Jeff Ramsdale, but get the advantage right now for the moment to Brandon Hoff up top 3 wide, but Corey Carpenter making back up some ground on the bottom with a push from the number 88. They are side by side for the lead. Jeff Ramsdale getting the advantage now over Corey Carpenter, but several cars pushing now. Brandon Hoff in that third lane surrenders, at least for now, ducks back into the line, but still side by side for the lead. Now for second as Jeff Ramsdale is able to clear Corey Carpenter. They're side by side for second now.
Corey Carpenter looking to the inside of Jeff there. I don't know if he wants to go around him or what. I don't know. That was a close one.
And it looks like he wants to go around him, but that yellow line is preventing that at the moment. Looking for Ramsdale to just give him enough room to be able to squeeze in between him and that yellow line. Meanwhile, as he does that, the outside line is trying to form back up again, led by that number 69. Davey Scoville trying to make up some ground as the field charges past the damaged car of Brendan McGee in the number 94. Jeff Ramsdell continues to hold the point, but they are side by side behind him. Oh, we got a bit of contact, and we have several cars spinning. Nick Lancaster into 33, the 88. And, the 88 gets T-boned at the end there by the number 5 of Chris Scala, and I just saw the motor detonate on that impact. Trying to get a look at what happened here.
Looks like the 88 just got a little wishy-washy and got up into the 69, and it was all over from there.
Yeah, it looks like Landry just worked his way up the track a little bit and just barely got into the 69. That's at the 69 spinning, and they made contact from there. And as everybody tried to dodge and weave around this wreck, more cars found their way into each other. Not as large a crash as the first two in this event, but several more contenders taken out nonetheless. And with that third caution, 1/3 of the prize money is now out of reach. It appears that John Landry is taking it behind the wall and retired for the event after that incident. Trying to see if anybody else is able to continue going. It looks like the 69 was able to drive away. Don't know how significant his damage is, if at all. As the field works the caution here in lap 28 of 117 scheduled. Looks like some cars are going to dive down pit road here. The first one of them is Jeff Ramsdell. Most of the field, it appears, working their way down the pit lane. I see Brandon Hoff. I see Corey Carpenter. I see Cody Dutton, among others.
Yeah, most people are definitely going to at least top off on fuel if they don't have damage repair.
Yeah, 4.8 seconds for Jeff Ramsdell, who led the field into the pits. Looks like just fuel for him, among many others. And it appears we had a couple cars stay out on that round of stops, first of which being Danny Congdon in the number 58. And we also have Triffin Davis. Triffin Davis also stayed out. Dalton Collins stayed out. Also appears Steve Bonesteel, who we saw spin on that restart. May have been a little bit of fortune as a result of that misfortune. He was not in the main draft there when that wreck ensued and was able to get around it. Jeff Ramsdell, the first car off pit road. He's 5th. I'm sorry there, Alex.
Really no safe place here so far today. We've seen wrecks from the lead. We've seen wrecks mid-pack and more wrecks mid-pack, I guess. It's not sure.
All 3 incidents that we've seen have either it's just a small mistake by one person and many other people end up paying the price. Our first incident, just a little bit of a hesitation, led to some contact and many cars wadded up in 3 and 4. Our second incident, a little bit maybe of misperception there, trying to fill a hole that wasn't quite big enough, led to some carnage there. And now in this incident, just a little bit of just not quite enough control of the vehicle there working through turns 3 and 4 allowed it to wash up the track and washed up just enough to make contact with another car, and we see the results.
Still not one to go. We're going to step away for a commercial break.
And we're back here at Talladega, and we are joined here with Corey Carpenter running in the 6th position right now. Second one off the pit lane in that exchange of pit stops. Corey, how are you doing down there?
I'm doing all right. I think I'm getting pretty lucky so far avoiding these wrecks. It's been a little crazy. People making moves they shouldn't be, but it's racing.
You say people making moves they shouldn't. Is that what you believe to be the reason for the incidents that we've seen so far? You feel like they could have been avoided?
I feel like it's the fact that we can't push. People are just trying way too hard to side draft, and that doesn't work much in this game anyway. You end up getting net coded most of the time, so it's just the issue with people racing too hard. I mean, we're on lap 31. We have 117 laps, so I don't see the point in forcing it.
Yeah, less than 1/3 of the way through the event so far. What have you done so far to find yourself in the right position to avoid this carnage, or has it just been a little bit of luck on your side?
Well, during that last 2-lap stretch, I went from about 8th to 8th from 10th or wherever I was to 1st in about 2 corners. So it can be done. You just have to be in the right place. I've been surrounded by the wrecks, but I haven't been involved in one yet. So maybe my luck will turn around in a bad way, if you know what I mean.
Well, hopefully for your sake it will not, and hopefully for everybody's sake, so we can get some green flag racing here. The field's making its way through turns 3 and 4. You guys are taking the green flag here, coming to the start-finish line, so we're going to put you back down there and allow you to run this thing without our distraction.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Best of luck to Corey and the rest of these guys as they work their way off of turn number 4. Well, we've said it 3 times, now let's say it a 4th. We'll see if everybody is able to reevaluate their approach to this race and perhaps exercise a little bit more caution / patience and get some green flag racing in here. The bit of green flag racing that we have seen has been fantastic. Just a couple of cautions here that have kept it from reaching its full potential. We'll see if we can get there now as Danny Congdon brings him down to the green flag with Triffin Davis to his outside. Green flag's in the air, and they head down to turn number 1. And once again, the driver on the outside gets a little bit of an advantage heading down to turn number 1. Triffin Davis looked like had a little bit less than a half car length advantage over the 58, but as they work their way through 1 and 2, the shorter way around is going to get the advantage.
Triffin Davis sneaks down to the bottom line there in 1 and 2. Like that's the line he wants to be in.
And the first 3 cars single file, side by side with 4th, but here we are on board, working our way down to the turn number 3. Top 5 are now single file, side by side for 6th there, and now 5th place dives out, looking to the outside, but gets back in line, so still single file in the top 5 now. Looks like everybody's just trying to find a place to ride in at the moment. And as soon as I say that, Jeff Ramsdell peeks to the outside. Wants more than just the 4th position, working on 3rd and trying to get up side by side with Triffin Davis for 2nd. And Danny Congdon tries to throw a little bit of a block on the number 2 there. And all that does is leave the 3 wide as Triffin Davis comes through on the bottom. Jeff Ramsdell up top. And the 58 in the middle in the sucker hole. And we have a car going around in the back. It looked like it was Hayden Rapaw. The caution is back out. And Kevin Haseman in the 06 is collected in that incident. Don't know what set that off, but the 89 ended up spinning through turns 3 and 4, and it looked like the 06 got collected.
It looks like
take a look
Hayden
at it here and see what happened.
Just loses it. He collects Cody Dutton, the 06, and Mike R. Johnson in that.
Oh, wow. Several more cars involved than I was able to catch there. Cody Dutton, one of the main contenders here in all of the races that we've had so far. A really freak accident there, and really unfortunate for everybody that got involved in that. That's not something you see very often.
I've been racing with him for years, and we always joke about he can spin anywhere, but
that takes some effort.
I don't know.
So Cody Dutton, Kevin Haseman, Hayden Raypaw, and I don't know how much damage the 26 got. It looked like it might have been one of those deals where he was able to pass through the car without getting credit for the contact. Did a good job of keeping the car straight, going through the grass there and everything. Mike will be really fortunate if he comes out of that without any damage. Not so fortunate are the 3 cars that were, well, all but totaled in that crash. So we're back under the caution here on lap 34 for an incident at the back of the pack. 3 cars involved. Hayden Raypaw, Cody Dutton, and Kevin Haseman. Looked like the 26 got a piece of it, but may have come away with no damage. So I suppose I should say 4 cars involved, but literally 3 cars most likely. The sim treats it as though that 4th car never hit anything. And at the time that the caution came out, Dalton Collins in the 95 there was able to take over the lead. Looking through a little bit of a field rundown here, in second place is Jeff Ramsdell. Third is Philip Kraus in the 91. First time we've said his name today. He's been able to make his way through all the carnage around him and keep his car fairly clean. So good job on him so far, about a third of the way through the event here. Fourth is Steve Bonesteel. Our penultimate restart there, he was spinning going off into the apron, and now he finds himself running in the top 5.
Well, we're gonna
Jimmy Mullis.
We're gonna get a word here with Cody Dutton involved in this most recent accident and now retired from the event.
And we now have Cody Dutton here. Cody, we just saw the incident there that has taken you out of this event. I imagine you're upset. What did you see from your vantage point?
Well, the whole race was a little edgy. People pinching or sliding up and causing accidents. So I chose to stay in the pits a little while and try to go to the very back of the line and ride around. And the Jesus car lost control in front of me, and I'm not real sure what he was thinking there.
Certainly a freak accident there, and unfortunately you'd already used up your one toe in one of the earlier incidents, it appears, because you're not able to get back out on track. So really unfortunate that you're out of the event this early, but if you could get back out there or at least say something to your competitors about what to do differently, what would you say?
The competitors, I think, have just been a little too impatient. The most recent incident with myself in the 89 was something that could have been avoided. He wasn't using his head. He had a hardware failure or something of that sort. But it's just the box we're put in with that package. It's just how it's going to be. Nothing anybody can really do different other than have a little more patience, which is what I was trying to do, and that didn't work out either. So maybe next time we could bring back the Gen 6 car and taper up to about 70% and just let her rip.
Well, I'm sure we'll have another one of these events coming up in the future, and we hope you'll run with us again, because you're always fun to watch, definitely from our vantage point at the very least.
Yeah, I like to have a good time. I like to make some moves and see what I can do with the race car. It's a lot of fun, but yeah, I'll definitely run the next one. This is a great series you guys have here.
We thank you for participating there, Cody, and we're sorry once again that you're out of the race so early and such a freak deal there, but best of luck to you in the next one.
That's part of it, and I appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good night. Enjoy the rest of the race.
Thank you, Cody. So we continue to work the caution here on lap 36. Looks like the number 5 of Chris Scala, who was involved in an earlier accident, is getting the wave around on this one. Currently scored in the 21st position, and when he gets this wave around completed, it would appear that he will be back on the lead lap, so we should have 21 cars on the lead lap.
Still no one to go here, so we're going to step away for a commercial break once again from Talladega Superspeedway under caution.
And we are back here at Talladega Superspeedway for the Aaron's 312 here on FTR TV. Brought to you by FRRL. Pace car makes its way down into the pit lane. Dalton Collins is going to lead the field to the green flag this time. 21 cars on the lead lap. Coming to lap 38 for this restart as the cars work their way through the tri-oval, waiting for the green flag, and it's in the air. They go through the gears, headed down for turn number 1, and once again the car on the outside gets a bit of an advantage on the restart. Jeff Ramsdell able to clear the 95 of Dalton Collins and go to the inside with the lead.
Definitely he was really good through there and got the lead, and now he's up to block the outside. And
looked like he got a little bit too much of a lead. Steve Bonesteel there got a bit of a run there in the number 25, and now he's working his way to the point. But maybe not for long as Brandon Hoff works his way to the outside. They're 3 abreast up front. Nick Lancaster trying to give Brandon Hoff a push. Meanwhile, Jeff Ramsdell gets back in line behind the number 25. Trying to work his way around on the bottom is the 25 of Steve Bonesteel. Side by side with Brandon Hoff coming off of turn number 4.
Big run here. Oh, and we got a car on the wall, but they're going to keep it straight. And yeah, Brandon Hoff with a big run down through the tri-oval, and he's going to lead this lap.
My goodness, I don't know who that is back there up on the top line, but it looks like they have a handful with their car.
I think that contact with the wall in 4 might have broke it. I think that's all she had.
Trying to see who that is. It's John Batista in the number 15. He was running 10th at the line despite all that contact with the wall. He's now well behind the pack. Meanwhile, going back up front, Brandon Hoff leads Nick Lancaster there in the number 33, running second. Drake Alvarado in the number 12, he's third. We saw him in one of the incidents earlier, got his new car. Now he's running third, but gives up the third position now as he moves up the track. 25 of Steve Bonesteel gets back in front, and it looks like someone's heading down the pit road. It's Dalton Collins in the number 95. I don't imagine this is a scheduled pit stop.
Possibly a black flag on the restart or something. Not too sure.
Hard to imagine how he got a black flag. He was the leader for that restart. And it appears that he is retired from the event. Hearing that he had some connection issues may be a result of that. Back up to the front of the pack here. Brandon Hoff still has the lead, but Nick Lancaster behind him has some company. Jeff Ramsdell on the outside with a bit of a push from Bonesteel in the number 25, trying to get that outside line working once again as they go down towards the tri-oval. But still, the advantage to Brandon Hoff.
Yeah, Ramsdell trying to get something on the outside, but Bonesteel, for the most part, doesn't seem to be cooperating. He just keeps on looking out further and further.
40 laps are in the books. I wonder if perhaps the 25, we saw him spin on a caution, a couple cautions ago on a restart. Maybe there was a little bit of contact. Maybe he's having to watch his temperatures. Maybe he had some damage to the front end of his car. Or maybe he's just not wanting to run behind the two. That could also be the case.
He might just want to know where he's going. When you get tucked up behind somebody and these things you just can't see, and maybe he just doesn't trust the field that much right now.
Well, as a result, not quite a good run there for Jeff Ramsdell, at least as far as taking the lead goes. Brandon Hoff able to continue leading this pack of a little more than a dozen cars. Now we see a couple cars up there in the top line. They're trying to get something going. Looks like Johnny Foley there in the number 1 and the number 12 there of Drake Alvarado. Now perhaps reconsidering that decision, just nothing there at the moment.
Mike Johnson, who got a little bit of that wreck, looks to be just fine running third in line on the bottom.
Yeah, I speculated that he may have been able to come away with that without damage, may have gotten one of those lucky deals from the sim where you're able to drive through another vehicle without contact. It appears that's the case as he's running at least competitively, if not full speed.
Yeah, I would say so.
We have 12 cars in this lead pack right now, but there are a couple other cars that are running on the track without damage. Want to address those. We have in 13th Tim Mazzaro and 14th Triffin Davis. And it also looks like Dustin Lee and Jake Blackhall, along with Caleb McKee, do not have damage on their cars, at least not significant damage, but they are just running around behind the pack, trying to avoid any future incident. But with only 12 cars in this lead pack, I think it would take some work to create an incident.
You would think so, but stranger things have happened.
Speaking of those 12 cars, they're all double file, and it looks like Jeff Ramsdale's finally starting to get that little bit of a run he's looking for. He's door-to-door with Brandon Hoff, and it looks like he had the advantage at the line there, getting the lead of Ramsdale.
Our Race reporter Corey Carpenter out on the outside and 3 cars back. Looks a little bit calmer now than it has all race long, but only 12 cars working in the same pack, so.
Well, I think even before our most recent incident, everybody was kind of on the same page of just trying to get some laps logged here and get closer to the end of this race before trying to, really force the issue. Just had a freak incident there that unfortunately took out a few people, but it seems that everybody's on the same page now. They're willing to race each other, but they're going to try and give each other some room, too, so that they can get around without incident.
They're definitely looking a little bit more careful than they have all day.
Saw number 25, Steve Bonesteel, get right up behind Ramsdale on the front straightaway there and almost got to his bumper, had to lay off a little bit there to make sure that he wasn't pushing, which is restricted right now until the final lap in this event, and as a result, a lot of momentum lost on that high side. As they work their way off at turn number 4 and down through the tri-oval, Jeff Ramsdale trying to make up some lost ground, getting back up to the door of the number 23 of Brandon Hoff, but Brandon Hoff still has the advantage for the lead. Still double file all throughout these top dozen cars.
Yeah, nothing's changed anywhere in the pack. Everybody's still on their appropriate spot, just side by side and following the car in front of them.
If things continue as they are right now, green flag pit stops are not out of the question. What is something that you have to be worried about when it comes to green flag pit stops? What are the things that you have to do right to make sure that you stay in contention when you come back off pit road?
Well, it's just that pit entry, really. It's you don't make sure you don't run over anybody and don't get in a position to get run over.
Well, I would have to add one more thing. And that would
Don't
be make
speed.
sure you keep it under 55 miles an hour, absolutely. And with this race, a few contenders, some contact at the back of this group here, but they all keep it straight. And as I was saying, if you find yourself behind the 8 ball with a penalty at this point, this race is starting to have a bit of a green flag look to it. That could be a devastating penalty as far as staying in contention.
Most definitely. I think having to come back down the pits could end your day if you get a lap down. With a little bit of movement there in the pack, looked like somebody caught the apron.
I couldn't tell if that was the 33 of Lancaster or if it was someone behind him, but lots of movement there.
Lancaster's got a handful right now, looks like.
And as a result, he's not really tucked up on Brandon Hoff, giving him a very good push. Meanwhile, Bonesteel's right behind Jeff Ramsdale, giving him a good run down the front straightaway. Ramsdale give him the advantage at the moment, but not by much. Brandon Hoff working his way back on the bottom. They work their way down the back straightaway, side by side, double file all throughout these top dozen cars. Jeff Ramsdale up top with a push from the number 25 of Steve Bonesteel, the 23 of Brandon Hoff down low with a push from Nat Lancaster. And it looks like the high side is going to get the advantage, but Steve Bonesteel wants it for himself. He works his way to the outside of Jeff Ramsdale, and they find themselves 3 wide coming off of turn number 4. Working their way into the tri-oval, they're still 3 wide for the head of the pack.
I think that Bonesteel's been working on pulling that since the run started, really, and I don't think it worked too well for him.
Things are going to get tight here as they come up on this lap car. They're still 3 wide. They're going to be 4 wide going around this lap car. Lap car puts himself in the wall to avoid an incident there, and may not have been the best thing for his race, but helped avoid an incident there.
Yeah, real close call there for the pack.
He finds himself spinning into the inside wall off of turn 2. Still green as of right now, though. And he has just had to retire from the event, and he blew up the motor on that.
Odd turn of events right there, but
fortunately
front,
for us, still
Jeff
green.
Ramsdale going to more than likely lead this lap.
Still a dozen cars working this lead pack. Neither lane really able to get an advantage at this point. One lane is able to get maybe half a car length on the other at one point or another, but it keeps on going back and forth. It's like a pendulum swinging. One lap the inside lane has a bit of an advantage, the next lap the outside lane has a bit of an advantage. And as one of these drivers working this pack, especially 3 or 4 rows back, how much focus does it take? Because this can really be somewhat of a monotonous task, I would have to think, riding around in this group just trying to keep on making time. How much do you have to try and keep focused and be alert in case something happens?
I think one of the hardest parts of it is with the no push rule, having to make sure you don't get on somebody and feathering the gas constantly all race long. It's tedious.
And we see in other events where pushing is not an issue as far as being restricted. You'll have stack-ups in lines of cars because you won't want to get up on the bumper of a car that's already on the bumper of the car in front of them. But with these rules in this package, you find cars checking up to make sure they don't make any sort of contact with anybody, and that just accordions on through the line and can really get hairy towards the back. And speaking of hairy, they were 3 wide down the back stretch, and I just saw the 8 car with a big, evil swerve in turn 3. You're able to keep it straight, though.
Homestead is really determined to make a move in the third line, and both times it's cost him spots, and he doesn't have too many more spots to lose at this point. Oh,
we have a lap car spinning and clips the number 8. Huge contact in turn number 1. Still green at the moment, but I have to think that's going to result in a caution, and there it is. Huge contact. Another lap car finds its way into the wall. I was going to make a point of saying that the pack was working their way up to a lap car, but they weren't in a very tight situation. Nobody was 3 wide, so I was going to make a point of saying it should be non-issue, but ultimately it was, especially for the number 8.
Yeah, the lap car, the 15, just hits the wall and veers back down, hooks the 8 head on, and up and over. I don't know if he has a toe or not, but if he doesn't, that's it. That's his race.
Yeah, it would appear that he does not. He is off the track at the moment, and he had just made a little bit of a save from a scare in turn 3. His car got a little bit out of shape, and another freak incident here. That's really something that should not happen. There's no other way around it. As a lap car, as any driver, that is something that you cannot allow to happen. You have to be able to maintain better control of the vehicle. And if you can't, you shouldn't be out there. It looks like the 15 had a little bit of suspension damage that was probably contributing to him not being able to have full control of his car. But if you're not able to maintain control of your car without being a hazard on the track, it's best to stay out of the way, maybe work to the apron and let everybody go by, or just keep it off the track. Absolutely the last thing you want to do is take out a lead lap car. What that does, though, is it takes green flag pit stops out of the cards, at least for now. The pack works their way onto pit road now, led by Brandon Hoff. Most likely going to be fuel-only pit stops here. Tire wear really not an issue.
Spots can be gained or lost right here, and if the run continues like it did before, it'll actually mean something.
And the race off pit road, Brandon Hoff able to edge out Jeff Ramsdale there, maintains the lead. Looks like Mike R. Johnson came out third there. And Nick Lancaster, fourth off pit road. Looks like the number 5 of Chris Scala stayed out on the track. We'll see if he elects to come down pit road next lap or if this is the strategy he's going to pursue. We also see the number 36 of Corey Heffley in front of the leader at this point. Scored in the 21st position. He is 9 laps down, but still out there trudging along, just trying to make a good show of it.
We're going to try and get a word with our in-race reporter here.
And we are joined once again by Corey Carpenter working the caution here on lap 54. Corey, do you have a copy?
I do.
Well, Corey, a little bit of a green flag run there, but find yourself back under the caution there. What did you get from that last green flag stint?
Well, when everybody's patient, we end up racing pretty well, so maybe we'll end up doing that. We're not even halfway yet, so we'll see what happens. I know people are going to be racing crazy at the end, but if we can get another 40-lap run or so, that'd be nice.
Yeah, dare I say, we were talking about the potential green flag pit stops. That's how that race was looking so far, and just another freak incident that puts you back under the caution. But anybody you're seeing out there that you're able to work with, they can't hear you down here. You can say what you want.
I got you. I really don't have many friends in the race right now. I was working well with Ramsdell for a little bit there, but I mean, he's got his teammates up in the front, so I'm kind of a lone wolf right now, but we'll see what happens. If I get hooked up with somebody, I'll hook up with somebody. I mean, there's really no pushing anyway, so it's not like you need a partner. You just need to have the good momentum.
Well, a little bit less than halfway through this race so far. Anything you wanted to ask him there, Alex?
Well, I guess I'd ask you what your plans are for the race, but I think at this point the only thing I'm thinking of is surviving.
Yeah, I want to survive for about 50 more laps, and then I'm focused on winning, so we'll go from there.
Alrighty, well, thanks for joining us, Corey. Looks like there's a couple more laps on this caution left, but we'll send you back down there, and best of luck to you. Hopefully we'll be talking to you later.
10-4, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for broadcasting again.
That was our in-race reporter, Corey Carpenter, and with that, we're going to step away for another commercial break here at Talladega Superspeedway under caution.
Alrighty, we are back here for the Aaron's 312 on FTR TV, brought to you by FORL. The Aaron's 312, about to be 56 laps old when they come down to the green flag here on this restart. Pace car's about to peel off. We'll give you your top 10 runners right now. First, Brandon Hoff. Second, Jeff Ramsdell. Third, Nick Lancaster. Fourth, Corey Carpenter. Fifth, Phil Kraus. Sixth, Matt Sanders. Seventh, Davey Scoble. Eighth, Tony Pizarro. Ninth, Drake Alvarado. And 10th is Johnny Foley. Want to document that the number 5 did make his way to pit lane. As the field works their way through the tri-oval, waiting for that green flag to go into the air. And the green flag is in the air. We're on board with the number 10, Matt Sanders, as the field charges towards turn number 1. And we can see Ramsdell slips into line behind Brandon Hoff there. But they're side by side for third. Nick Lancaster and Corey Carpenter working their way through turns 1 and 2, battling for that position. And now Brandon Hoff works his way to the outside. Looks like he's looking for Corey Carpenter, but Corey Carpenter is looking for the lead. He goes up to the third lane, up top, 3 wide, trying to get something going there. But Matt Sanders is going to fill the void up behind Brandon Hoff in the 23. Going to give him the push, and it looks like Corey Carpenter is going to be left to dry. Carpenter really putting the squeeze on. Oh my goodness, barely room for 2 cars underneath of him, but they make it through. Through the commotion, we see that Jeff Ramsdell is up at the point, but perhaps not for long, as Brandon Hoff comes back on the outside with that push from the number 10 of Matt Sanders, looking to get the lead back. Side by side all through the field. They work their way down the backstretch, door to door. And it appears that a couple of those cars who had worked their way out of the draft on the last run, trying to make sure they weren't caught up in an incident, are sticking with the pack this time, maybe wanting to get in on a little bit of the action.
Bone's still way wide, and it looks like it got out from under him a little bit. That could have been a mess.
Thankfully, they keep it all straight, and we're still green here at Talladega. Take 59 here at the line. Ramsdell continues to lead. Still double file all throughout the field. Brandon Hoff trying to get just enough of a run to get back to the point. But now the outside line loses a little bit of momentum. Nick Lancaster able to clear Brandon Hoff at least for a moment here. So 2 cars clear now. Brandon Hoff working his way back to the outside. Side by side with Lancaster for second, and working his way up on the quarter panel of Jeff Ramsdell there as they work their way through turns 3 and 4.
Outside not getting as much of a run as we had seen earlier, but that's subject to change if a couple more cars jump up.
Looks like there's more cars working that inside line than the outside line. And one of the drivers working on the outside line doesn't really want to be in line. That's the number 25 of Bone Steel. We've seen him dive out of line several times in this race, and sticking with that so far.
Not sure what his plan is, but he's sticking to it.
If nothing else, gaining a lot of information on what does, or maybe more so right now, doesn't work for later in the race. Back up to the front of the pack, though. Brandon Hoff just inching a little bit closer there on Jeff Ramsdell. Up to the door of that number 2. Just not... It looks like there's really inconsistent pushing out of both of these lines, most likely as a result of that no-push rule. And of course, when I say pushing, I mean figuratively, because the goal at this point would be to get as close to the back bumper of the car in front of you without touching them as you can, and give them a bit of a run that propels them forward. But the rule is that you can't be maintaining contact with that rear bumper in order to gain speed. So everybody trying to avoid that, and every once in a while they have to check up and make sure they avoid getting on the rear deck with the guy in front of them, and it really makes for some inconsistent runs. It propels the inside line sometimes when the outside line has to check up, and vice versa. And here we are on board with the number 33 of Nick Lancaster, looking out front at Jeff Ramsdell, working their way through the tri-oval. You see that gyro cam, a little bit of the banking there in the tri-oval. As you flash by the start-finish line, things level out a bit, and as we head down to turn 1, everything's going to get a little bit more at an angle. And meanwhile, outside of his car, things are starting to pick up 3 wide for that 5th position just behind Nick Lancaster, and a run to the outside for Brandon Hoff, almost clear of Jeff Ramsdell at the moment. And just as he's about to get clear, he loses his run because Matt Sanders splices to the outside, looking for the lead himself. 3 wide for the point right now. No help for Sanders until the number 25 of Bone Steel works his way behind him, trying to give him a bit of a run, but can't get there in time. But they're still side by side for the lead. They are 3 by 3 for 1st through 6th.
All take and no give right there. Matt and Corey were shaking hands right there. That was tight racing.
Well, we were talking in the last run about working your way through the monotony. I suppose the best way to avoid it is to make some moves.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the leader, I think you control your own fate at that point.
We see Corey, our in-race reporter, really working down on that inside line, trying to get a little bit of a run. He has the number 1 giving him a bit of a push. Everybody else has a push as well. Matt Sanders with the 25 pushing him, and Brandon Hoff with the 2 of Jeff Ramsdell pushing him.
Yeah, what Corey's doing is he's pinching the inside, and then coming off the corner, he's pushing the outside wide, and it got them away, and now he just got the inside to beat.
No longer 3 wide for the lead, but still double file, at least for the 2nd position, with Corey Carpenter trying to get back up to the door of that number 23, getting a push from Johnny Reed Foley there in that number 1. 63 laps are now in the books. The field being led by the number 23 of Brandon Hoff. And things settle down at least a little bit here as far as the 3-wide action goes, but still a feisty battle up front for the lead. And just as I say that, Matt Sanders makes his way back to the outside, push from Steve Bonesteel, trying to make that high line work. It looks like that high line, not quite enough momentum up there right now, but there's enough momentum in that middle line so far for Corey Carpenter, at least getting a bit of an edge on Brandon Hoff, it would appear, at the line. Indeed, gives the advantage to Carpenter by about 100th of a second. But as they work their way through turns 1 and 2, Brandon Hoff able to get back out in front and clear of Corey Carpenter, at least for the moment.
Corey really not pinching as much as he was a little bit earlier in the run. It looks like they're starting to give each other a little bit of space now that they're the front of their own lines.
This pack is getting really spread out at the moment. Lots of cars fanning out single file behind them, but up front they all want to get the point.
On board here with Matt Sanders as we go off into turn 1 right here behind the 69 Davey Scoville.
See Steve Bonesteel making a run there on the inside. Really hard for either one of these lines to get an advantage over the other. Really evenly matched at the moment. At the moment, Brandon Hoff continues to lead as the field dives down to turn number 3. You can see from Matt Sanders' point of view. And when you're on this onboard view, you can really see just how much the cars are moving around in this draft and in the air. You lose a little bit of that sensation when you get the cameras from a far off distance zooming in on the pack. You don't quite get that sensation of all that movement, but on board you can just see how much everybody's wiggling around. Not quite so much as you would see at Daytona, but still a significant amount, especially when things get tight.
Earlier, when talking to our in-race reporter, Corey Carpenter, he said that the side draft doesn't work a whole lot, but if you look at how some of these guys are racing, I think that could prove him wrong.
Well, he may think the side draft doesn't work very much, but it's not stopping everybody from trying it at the very least, leaving nothing on the table at this point. And now we see the outside line gets a bit of advantage. Corey Carpenter clear for the lead, and now he jumps down to the bottom. Leaves the rest of the outside line to dry, perhaps, or leaves himself open for an overtake from the high side.
Wow, throwing an aggressive block down there on Brandon Hoff. That's going to stack everybody up.
And it looks like he knew how aggressive that block was, because he moved up a lane to give Hoff some room to get back up on the track and get it gathered up. He's going to give up the lead because of it, and man, things are getting stacked up behind him, as he was a little bit slower than those cars coming up behind him, and they had to get on the binders there to keep everything straight.
Close call for the pack once again, and looks like they might have got it settled out for now.
And of course, the definition of settled down is side by side for the lead. Brandon Hoff on the inside, Corey Carpenter on the outside. Took him a long time to get oh, he hooked him! Huge contact in turns 1 and 2. Corey Carpenter goes barrel rolling, and now on the wheels off of turn number 2. And Brandon Hoff is gone. Caution back out on the speedway on lap 69. Looks like Jeff Ramsdale's going to come out of this with the lead. My goodness, what an incident in turns 1 and 2. Looking at the Mettering turn 1 and trying to see what happened here. Looked like a little bit of trying to get that side draft working, but even more than that, looked like some netcode that sent the 23 hooked around, and a massive crash from there. Looking from above here. And you can just see, just barely gets into him, a little bit of netcode there, and Brandon Hoff, it appears, soars out of the racetrack. Some really creative crash physics out of iRacing there. So we're back under the caution here for, let's see, the 6th time. And it would appear Brandon Hoff's race is over at this point. Speaking to our in-race reporter, Corey Carpenter, I believe he may have had a tow available, but he's not on the track at the moment, so we'll see.
Well, he did blow his engine, so I don't know if he... I'm not too familiar with how the iRacing tows work, but if he's being towed around the track, that's what's going on right now.
Yeah, either he's being towed around the track, or I'm pretty sure iRacing with the tow will repair, it will provide you a fresh engine, but I'm not entirely positive on that. I suppose only time will tell if we see that 35 come back on the track. And the cars are in and off of pit road. It looks like Matt Sanders won the race off pit road there in the number 10. Or perhaps not, as the 69 goes past him. We'll see how things sort out when they come back to the line.
In the meantime, we'll step away for a commercial break.
Back here for the Aaron's 312 here at Talladega. The pace car ducks onto the pit lane. Matt Sanders at the front of the point with Davey Scoble to his outside. Everything's gathered back up here, and we're ready to go back racing after an interesting crash that brought out the caution. We're back green.
Lost 2 of the members of the main 12-car pack that we had, and see if we can get any more tag along this time now that everybody's regrouped.
Yeah, definitely looked like a lot of drivers on that last run were trying to just work their way a little bit behind, keep touch with the draft, but stay far enough back so that they could react to any incidents. But certainly looks like there's more cars that can contend than what we've seen in the last couple of runs, at least at the front of the pack. So we'll see how things work out. At the front, Matt Sanders leading the pack with Jeff Ramsdell giving a bit of a push. He's working side by side with the 69, Davey Scoble.
Yeah, Matt had an interesting approach to that restart. About the time he got on the gas, he was onto the apron and then back to the high side. I'm not sure what he did, but it worked.
Yeah, we had documented that previous restarts had seen the outside driver get the advantage, so Matt found a way to break that trend.
Davey Scoble with a big run here on the outside. Looking for more down the backstretch.
Getting a pretty good push there from Mike Johnson. He's been pretty quiet so far tonight, and not usually what I would be saying about Mike Johnson, but it seems to be the right approach for him. He was involved in a couple of incidents. One I'm pretty sure he had to take a tow from, and the other one he was able to fortunately not get any damage from. Now finds himself riding in the top 5. Better part of still 40 laps left, but still in contention, and that's more than most of the starters from this field could say.
Clearly you're not trying to say Mike's aggressive.
I was not trying to say Mike's aggressive, but I was just trying to say that Mike usually finds his way to the front, and we usually talk about it.
Back up front, Matt Sanders still has the lead with a lot of pressure here from Davey Scoble, trying to get the run on the backstretch.
At the edge of the frame there, you saw Griffin Davis work his way all the way at the outside. Looks like he's working his way to the back of the pack. Maybe senses something brewing or just thinks it's too early to be running up there with everybody, but nonetheless working his way to the back. Meanwhile, up front, side by side, Davey Scoble just trying to get up in front of Matt Sanders. It looks like he's about to the door as they come down to the start-finish line. The advantage belongs to Sanders, but not by much.
Like we got quite a few more cars involved in the pack this time than the last time. Maybe all 15 of the cars running could be in this one.
Yeah, 15 cars on the lead lap right now, and they are separated by barely over a second at the line last lap. So everybody on the lead lap running together right now. I'd be willing to wager that at least a few of them have some amount of damage, but apparently not enough to keep them from being able to keep touch with the draft. And sometimes that's all you need in these races.
Wow, Jeff Ramsdell with a power move with a huge run on the outside of Matt Sanders.
Splices up in front of the 69 of Davey Scoble, and to the lead, clear the number 10 as they work their way down towards turn number 1. We'll see if he dives down to the bottom, and he does. Brings the 69 of Scoble with him. That leaves Mike Johnson as the lead car of that outside line. And Scoble's going around on the backstretch. Can he get it straightened out?
Looks like he will, but wow.
Fortunate to be able to keep it off of the wall.
Oh, now
there.
we're wadding him up in 3.
That is most of the field. The remaining field. They go down to turn number 3. They're 3 wide, and looks like some contact between the 25 and the 2 cars up on top of them. Lancaster goes for a ride, to say the least, and just about everybody wadded up in turn 3. looking to see who got through that without any contact. It looks like Mike Johnson, Phil Kraus, and Johnny Reed Foley, the first three, trying to see if anybody coming through behind that crash made it through clean. But if there were any, it weren't many. On board here with Jeff Ramsdell on board, going towards turn number 3, everything's fine, and then it's not. And looking at it, he just barely got flipped by Lieutenant Matt Sanders and the 25 of, it just sent him around.
Oh, well, that's getting cleaned up. We're going to have a word with a guy that's led a lot of laps today involved in the wreck before this one, Brandon Hoff.
Joined now by Brandon Hoff. Brandon, we just saw the results of that most recent incident. What happened there?
I don't know, really. We were side by side for the lead there. We were side by side for about 10 laps, and I don't know. I guess I slid up a little bit, and Corey moved down, and it looked like a little bit of neck code, so nothing you could do about that. It's kind of disappointing running up front all race, leading most of it, and for that to happen, it's just, stuff happens, but whatever. Move on.
Definitely an unfortunate incident as the action was picking up, and most of the contenders end up involved in that wreck.
Yeah. That was a pretty huge wreck. Nowhere for many people to go, it seemed like, but I don't know. See how the rest of this race plays out, I guess.
Not too many cars left here at Talladega. I don't know, 30 laps to go. Handful of cars left. Not sure what there's left to see.
Well, I mean, I'm counting 6 cars running behind the pace car right now that do not look broken entirely, and 5 of those cars are not a lap down. The other one of those 6 being Corey Heffley, and he is 17 laps down at this point. 17 laps down, scored in 18th, but 17 laps down nonetheless. Some names that are certainly fortunate, though, with how that all worked out. Chris Scala, the number 5, we saw him involved in an earlier incident. He was not involved in that wreck, and he was leading just before he came on the pit lane just now, but nonetheless, still clean and in contention at this point in time, at least for the most part. Also, Philip Kraus, he's been able to avoid most of the incidents. Jake Blackhall's getting damage repaired there. His car looks hurt quite a bit, as many are. Tony Pizarro, don't know if he made it through that last wreck. I want to take a look at that. Probably need a commercial break to sort all this out and see who has managed to keep from getting terminal damage and who's going to ride around out there and battle for the best of the junked cars. Back here at Talladega Superspeedway for the Aaron's 312. 35 laps to go when the field comes back to the green flag. Pace car peels off onto pit road. Field led down by Mike Johnson in that number 26 to his outside, Johnny Reed Foley. Many cars involved in many incidents so far in this race, and the field has been thinned out, to say the least. Green flag's back in the air. They get on it. Those of them that are left heading down to turn number 1. Looks like Mike Johnson was able to keep in front of Johnny going into turn number 1, but Johnny got a little bit of a better run, maybe got through the gears a little bit better, but nonetheless trying to work his way to the outside, the number 26 heading down the backstretch.
Big run down the backstretch for the one car on the outside with help from the 91, it looks like.
You see the 24, Triffin Davis, pushing Mike Johnson. Meanwhile, the number 1 of Johnny Reed Foley up top with a push from Philip Kraus. 3 of those names we have not talked much about, but those are 3 of the very few cars that don't have significant damage right now, and they are up there battling for this win, at the moment at least.
Oh, we haven't seen a lot of tonight running in second right now, Triffin Davis. I don't think there's any damage to that vehicle. I just think that he's kept it out of the pack and pretty much out of trouble. Second pack, Nick Lancaster, Jeff Ramsdale here, side by side. Maybe a little bit of 3 wide even. Matt Sanders in behind. This is our battle of the broke, I guess. And I think it's over.
Well, they're still trying for it. Back there, Matt Sanders almost ended up 3 wide between Corey Heffley and that other car. Oh, contact. Why not?
Yeah, I guess every position counts, right?
Well, everybody wants to have the title of best of the broke, so every inch of this racetrack counts. Looks like Corey Heffley is tandeming with Matt Sanders.
I think he's breaking the rules right now. Oh.
Well, Heffley is, to say the least, several laps down. He has nothing to lose by getting up on Sanders' back bumper, and Sanders can make the argument that he was being pushed, so you can say he didn't ask for it. Why not? Meanwhile, checking back in up front, they are all double file. The top 6 here. Mike Johnson continues to lead, but he's got a bit of a challenge from Phil Kraus up top. And this top half dozen works their way into turn 3. Now things settle down a little bit as the number 1 works his way back to the inside, as does the number 25 there of Bone Steel. So only Philip Kraus working the outside, everything kind of settling down up front. "86 laps complete here. Another 31 left on the schedule here for 312 miles here in the Aaron's 312. Hearing from race control at this point, the race will continue at its scheduled distance for now, but if we have another incident similar to the one that we just had that takes out any remaining contenders, the race distance may be shortened, so keep that in mind if we see another incident.
The way things are, that shouldn't be a problem right now, but it's possible.
Well, we've seen just about all of it today. I mean, we've seen cars bouncing off the wall, taking out lead lap cars. We've seen self-spins. We have seen flight. We might see 6 cars running single file find their way into each other. It would fit with the trend so far.
Not sure what Triffin and Mike are doing, but they're getting a bit of a gap on the cars behind them, and
just as you say that, number 1 there closes in a little bit. Going to be hard. Ooh, looks like there's a bit of a wiggle there out of Mike. Able to keep it straight, though, and get back down to the bottom.
Race Control chimed in there saying that the front two are potentially pushing with netcode, and they pulled the back off. And about that time, the one gets to run, and he's looking to the outside here for the lead.
And he has the 0-0 there of Tony Pizarro trying to push him. Tony caught a piece of that last wreck, but he's been hanging out, just riding, collecting laps, so I think he still had a toe to use and in contention here amongst these others. That being said, the run not quite there on the outside, not able to make up ground on the front duo. And this top 6 makes their way around the slow car there, the 51 of Dustin Lee. Keeps it on the apron and keeps from creating an incident. Laps are starting to tick down here. 28 to go at the line. Still single file here for the top half dozen.
Looks like there's some guy trying to look to the outside here, and I guess they opt not to. One's on the up there, but that's not going to work out too well. And we're single file here up front with our remaining pack, and we're going to go to a commercial break here at Talladega.
And we are back here at Talladega Superspeedway, coming to take lap 94. They were just double filing 3 wide for the lead, and you can see up front the picture has changed as the number 1 briefly had the lead, but now Mike Johnson wants to take it back, and ooh, he is not clear there of the number 1. Tried to get in front of him, really wanted to get back to the bottom line, but not able to do it. So has to regroup and try and get back up to the front. Looking on board for the double zero here of Tony Pizarro. Running behind Tristan Davis there on the bottom. Up front there, side by side, Mike Johnson and number 1 of Johnny Foley. Number 1 gets a bit of an advantage coming off of turn number 4. Mike Johnson in that outside line, a little bit more momentum, trying to work his way back up to the door of Foley. Once again, with these onboard views, you can see just how much these cars are moving around. Not too many of them in this pack, mind you, but still enough of them running close enough together, just trying to get everything that they can get. All that movement really gets things to close up quickly. Now looking from out back of Johnny Reed Foley, you can see Tristan Davis there in that purple number 24. And to the outside here, not quite in the frame. Now he's in the frame is Mike Johnson, getting a push from the number 25 of Bone Steel. Not quite enough to take the lead at this point, but here they come back up on the outside again. Tristan Davis trying to get up on the back bumper here full and give him a good push. But at the line, Mike Johnson gets the lead and has to dive to the inside of the 36 going a lap down. Barely avoids contact. Side by side with the number 1 coming off of turn number 2. And Mike Johnson is really trying to get back into the lead. Probably not happy with how he lost it and doing everything he can. Side drafting and just holding down the one on the bottom, just doing everything he can to get back to the lead, and now he's successful. Put the 26 back to the point.
Philip Kraus tried to make that outside line work all by himself, and he tucks back in line right quick.
Mike Johnson was in the lead, but now here comes Foley back to the outside with a run. Putting a little bit of a slingshot on Mike Johnson, see if he can pull it off. It's at least going to lead to him having the lead at the stripe. But now they're 3 abreast going into turn number 1 as the 25 of Bone Steel makes it 3 wide on the outside. He wants the lead, but he's by himself. Side by side underneath of him, and now it's 2 wide for the lead coming off of turn number 2.
Bone Steel still out there by himself, gonna sneak back in line behind Kraus.
3 cars working up top make it 4 as Tony Pizarro latches onto that high line, and it's going to be really hard for Tristan Davis and Mike Johnson to keep up on the bottom with just the 2 of them.
Yeah, Tristan Davis' car looks a little out of shape coming off the corner there the last few laps now. Not sure why that would be, and everybody else seems to be going just fine.
20 laps to go at the stripe, working lap number 98. These guys are still side by side for the lead, just barely though. Foley almost clear of Mike Johnson, and they are coming up on a couple of lap cars. I can't tell if they're racing together or if they are 2 abreast right now in front of them, and this could get hairy.
Fair enough.
Oh my goodness, it's going to pinch off at least one of the lead lap cars there. Bone Steel, he goes spinning to the inside, and that is one of the more ridiculous things I've ever seen. I cannot believe those 2 lap cars went side by side with the leaders half a second behind them. That you can see here everybody gets stacked up with those lap cars running side by side on the backstretch. The leaders go 4 wide to get around these 2, and just not enough room for everybody to get by. Bone Steel has to check up and ends up going around. And it looked like he had checked up for that and everything and had it sort of straightened out and tried to get in behind the 33, try and get regrouped, and just kind of bumper grabbed him and ended up going around. But would not have, I would have to say it wouldn't have been an issue, or at least it wouldn't have been as difficult to deal with for the lead pack if it weren't for the fact that those lap cars were side by side.
And, I mean, they were damaged. They were way off the pace. They were so silly.
I mean, we're somewhere around 10 laps into a run, and you're, oh my goodness. I don't know if we're watching Bone Steel live right now, but on my monitor, he just almost lost control under caution. And getting word from race control that the race is going to be shortened. It looks like it will go to 108 laps. Looks like the only cars that elect to pit are those that are damaged and whatnot. Take a commercial break and bring you back for what might be the final restart, as this race is going to end 9 laps Back here at the Talladega Superspeedway for the Aarons 3, because the race is shortened to 108 laps, we are coming to take lap 103 of the now 108 laps scheduled. Mike Johnson leads the field with Johnny Foley to his outside, Triffitt Davis third, Philip Kraus fourth, and Tony Pizarro rounding out the top five. Green flag is back in the air. What remains of the field charges towards turn number 1.
Once again, that outside line getting the dominant restart here. Foley noses ahead of Mike, but Mike's going to get it here running the shorter distance on the inside.
Johnny has Philip Kraus pushing behind him there. Mike Johnson has Triffitt Davis behind him, and it looks like Philip Kraus, at least for a moment, was up more on the number 1's bumper going through turns 1 and 2, and that is part of the reason why the number 1 is able to maintain at least some advantage going down the backstretch for now.
Yeah, you got to remember no push until the last lap of this race, and I think that the 91 might have been in the gray area right there. Race control told him to back off.
Working lap 103, coming to take lap 104. It'll be 5 laps to go at the line, and we saw the number 5 break out a line there, Chris Scala, but nothing there, nobody to work with him. Double file all the way up through the top 8 or so. And look at the number 2 of Jeff Ramsdell. Looks like he was able to get more of his damage repaired, and the draft is helping to make up for the damage his car has. He's back in the hunt. Riding there in about the 6th or 7th position. Meanwhile, the top half dozen still racing side by side for their respective positions.
Jeff Ramsdale now back up into the mix after being in the Battle of the Broke. It looks like he's almost fine.
No longer in the Battle of the Broke, just in the battle. Meanwhile, Bone Steel gets forced up into that third lane. He's gone there willingly a lot of times, but this time not so much, and he falls back to the tail end of this pack. Matt Sanders, it looks like, also is keeping touch with this lead group. 4 laps to go now. Mike Johnson, pulling a little bit of an advantage on the bottom there, but the number 1 of Johnny Foley gets a better... There's some contact! Mike Johnson goes down into the infield, gets his car straightened out, but loses a lot of track position now, coming back up on the track. He makes contact with the 12! The 12's going around, trying to get it gathered back up. And the 12's going around, no caution yet. That's Drake Alvarado spinning in turns 3 and 4. And the caution has been thrown. And this will result in a green, white, checkered.
Yes, it will. And Mike is going forward. Guess he's wanting to make a point of some sort.
He probably wants to deliver a message to somebody.
That's the Mike I know.
Looks like he had some choice words, or rather some choice jabs to give to the 91 there, Philip Kraus.
Oh, got a little bit more contact here on the backstretch of the 2 of Ramsdale to the door of Mike. Dampers flaring here. Are we at Bristol?
Let's see if we can possibly get a look at this incident here. Looking at it, they're working their way down the backstretch, and hard to tell. It looked like Philip Kraus wanted to work his way 3 wide, and the hole might have been there when he went after it, but it closed up by the time he got there.
Yeah, just barely caught Mike on that quarter panel, and a really good save by Mike to not take out the whole field with that one, and came up but still caught the 12.
And it looked like Mike was making a conscious effort to try and work back up on the track slowly, try and give everybody an opportunity to, work their way up and give them some room to merge back up. But the 12 may have not known that he was down there. I mean, at one point he was all the way down next to the inside wall. Hard to know where the 26 is going to merge back up or if he's even still running full speed. So really difficult situation for everybody there.
listening to the driver chat here, it's a little heated. Some harsh language being exchanged.
So some twists from that run, not the least of which is the green-white checkered, but we also saw a couple of cars that weren't in contention before the penultimate caution, now in contention, able to get enough of their damage to repair that they can run with the lead pack and get back into contention. So we have more cars battling for this win as we get set for this green-white checkered. Another thing to bear in mind, with just 2 laps for the restart, the first lap, everybody has to keep off of each other's bumpers, but when they take the white flag, all bets are off. Everybody can push as much as they want.
Well, we're getting set up here for our first green-white checkered, and guess we'll go to our commercial break here and come back with what might be the end of this race.
Welcome back here for the Aaron's 3, whatever it's going to end up being here at Talladega. Coming down to get, hopefully, the final restart of the night. Pace car ducks onto pit lane. Johnny Reed Foley leading the field with Triffin Davis to his outside. A green-white checkered attempt, the first one of the evening, waiting for the green flag to fly, and there it is. Green flag back in the air once more. 2 laps to go at the line. And they are dead even headed towards turn number 1. Now give the advantage to the 24, Triffin Davis. It looks like Johnny Reed Foley may have missed a shift.
And
just slightly.
Contact mid-pack with Mike Johnson and Jeff Ramsdale. Not sure if that's after the chats there in the caution, that might have just been some intentional, like, hey, look at me. But no pushing until this next lap, and they're getting antsy.
Triffin Davis dove in front of the 1. Oh, the 5 goes off into the apron. Can't tell if he spun.
He's
Still
around,
green
but
so far.
I don't guess it's going to be a caution.
He's well out of the way of the rest of the pack, obviously, so we stay under green for now. Triffin Davis had the lead. He was on the bottom line. He spliced up in front of Tony Pizarro, someone he's raced with before. Perhaps maybe he thought that was the better move. So far not panning out, but here we come. 1 lap to go, the final lap here in this race. It's finally here, and now
pushing
all
is legal.
Pushing is legal. And
there goes Mike.
A car spinning to the inside. A
there
couple
goes
more cars spinning. Matt
Tony.
Sanders, Mike Johnson. The caution is flown, but I believe they're going to race to the line. They're still pushing, and now there's another car spinning. It's Phil Kraus going around off the bumper of Jeff Ramsdale. Now 3 cars separated from each other. Meanwhile, there's 2 more. Drake Alvarado and the 25 Esteem Bone Steel.
Oh!
They're pushing each other, and there's more contact. Jeff Ramsdale goes around. Jake Alvarado's in it. Oh, my goodness.
The 25
of
Bone Steel spins on the apron. Triffin Davis has this locked up.
Nick Lancaster was going through to take over the second position, but spun out trying to miss the wreck. There is nobody within sight of Triffin Davis in that 24. He is 4th on the white flag, 1st on the final lap. He gets the checkered flag in the Aaron's 3, however long it was. After over almost 2.5 hours of racing, Triffin Davis comes out on top of a field that began with 32 contenders completing laps. He will get the win. And I'm sure to him a very special win. This car, a tribute to someone in his life who passed away recently, and this would have been their birthday. Carrying an image of them on his car and decals commemorating their memory. He's able to pick up the win. Triffin Davis burning it down here on the front straightaway, celebrating his win. And there are a lot of tempers flaring meanwhile from those who were not able to earn the win. We're going to bring Triffin down here and talk to him about his night. Triffin Davis, the winner of the scheduled to be Aaron's 312. Triffin, how does it feel?
It's pretty good to finally get one. I hate to get it that way, but at least I wasn't the guy who wrecked the guy, so I mean, it was really just about luck, and I know it's always about luck, but that was just entirely lucky. And I don't know. Pretty awesome to win in that car, though.
Yes, we documented that your car was a tribute to someone who had passed away, and today would have been their birthday, so I can only imagine how good it feels to be able to get the win. Obviously, it doesn't change what's happened, but it's a nice gesture towards their memory.
Yeah, it's really nice. Really all I can say.
Take me through that last restart. You got the advantage on Foley there. You got to the bottom line, and then you went back to the outside. And for at least a little bit there, it looked like that was possibly the move that was going to potentially lose you the race. What happened there?
Well, I thought I had the one clear, and I saw him start to go below the apron, and I kind of thought I didn't, so I came back up in front of Tony. And there was a point earlier in the race where we were behind the pack, and I had pushed him for a while, and I guess he thought he owed me one or something, or I don't know, I thought I had that in my mind the entire time, and he pushed me, and then he got wrecked, and so it kind of became irrelevant after that, and I got back behind Ramsdell. He wrecked, they wrecked in front of him, and then he wrecked the one, and it's self-explanatory after that.
It was a long race, 2 hours and 18 minutes long, flag to flag, but in the end of a lot of crazy circumstances and action, you come out on top.
Yeah, like I said, it just feels good. It just that happened how early I had to use my toe. And I don't know how I avoid all those wrecks, but it was pretty cool.
Well, I'll tell you what, the win with the car that you were driving, it was a nice touch to the end of this evening. So congratulations to you, and best of luck to you as well in the next one.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, now we're going to talk to our fifth place finisher involved in one of those last lap incidents, Tony Pizarro.
And we have Tony Pizarro here. You come across the line in fifth after an inexplicably crazy last lap. Take us through what you saw.
All I was trying to figure out was which guy to go with. I was lined up on the outside with Triffin with 2 to go, and I pretty much had no choice. I saw a crash, or what looked like a crash, coming in the white flag, or right after we crossed the start-finish line. 2 guys in front of me and Triffin got together, and I went low to try to avoid the crash, and I spun. I don't know what happened to the other guys in front of me, but I was able to rack up a few more spots when they wrecked, and finally got a top 5 out of it, so I'm very happy. But it was a crazy race, especially the last couple laps.
Yes, the last couple of laps were a very fitting end to the way this race was run. Really crazy and quite the spectacle for the eyes. Talking further, we were just talking to Triffin Davis, and he said when he got in front of you on that restart, had you tucked up behind him, he recalled working with you early in the race and thought maybe you were going to work with him there, and that you had started pushing. Was that your plan? Was your plan to push Triffin?
That was my initial plan. Despite whatever happened earlier in the race, pushing him would have been my best chance to get a good finish or to win. Unfortunately, it didn't plan out like that, but at least Triffin got the win anyway.
Yes, Triffin got the win, and after all that happened in that last lap, you come out with a top 5 finish, and with 32 starters, that's certainly nothing to shake a stick at.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed the race, and just it was a matter of surviving the whole thing, and I was able to have a clean car by the end.
Absolutely, and that's something that not many could say.
Thank you for having me.
So Tony Pizarro comes home in 5th. Do we have anybody else that we wanted to speak with, Bates?
We're going to see if we can get a word with Jeff Ramsdale.
Jeff Ramsdale, do you have a copy?
Gotcha.
Obviously, a really wild last lap. Take us through what you saw from your cockpit.
From the restart or from the last lap?
If you'd like to take us from the restart, absolutely. But the last lap was certainly just as interesting.
I was going to try and get and work with Philip after the restart, and after we were allowed to push on the last lap, I was just staying behind him. And then last lap came, and everyone basically wrecked. And then I saw backwards, somehow saved it, and ended up second. I can't argue with getting second after wrecking 3 times.
Yeah, we were counting you out, not to insult you, but we were counting you out maybe 4 cautions ago before the conclusion of the race when you had all that damage after being caught up in that second wreck. Was it just a matter of being able to get that damage fixed, or had you just happened to lose the draft?
I got wrecked, and I went in and got the reset the first time. I could still use that, and then I got wrecked the second time. I had finally got enough cautions to actually get it repaired, and I'm very surprised that the car was actually up to speed almost perfectly.
Well, you weren't the only one. We made a point of saying on the following run, hey, Jeff Ramsdell, he's back in it.
Yeah, I certainly didn't give up, and my crew did a good job of repairing the car. Nick Lancaster also, I think he got his car repaired, and he was up there fighting for the win.
Yes, and you came very close to being able to get that victory, but just didn't seem to be in the cards. But second place was, and certainly a respectable finish.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I just have to thank my sponsors, Chromatic Graphics, Checkered Flag Interactive, and Unknown Motorsports, and my girlfriend watching.
Well, we thank you for taking the time to talk with us, and we hope to see you in the next one.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to have one more interview with the guy that let us down for that final restart and didn't have any luck.
And Johnny Foley, this is Tyler Head. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Well, you looked like you were at least in a good position there coming to that final restart. What went wrong?
Man, when it gets down to it, you get a lot of people, they start driving with not a whole lot of sense. I don't know if they start seeing dollar bills or what happens, but long story short, I was just trying to stay in front of everything that I saw in my mirror. And I don't know what the 2 was thinking as we went off into 3 on the last lap. But I saw he had a run, so I started to just go down to the inside and just took it on down in there where there wasn't room and took us out. It's a shame, but ruined what was a really good, hard-fought night.
He absolutely had done a very good job up until that point, avoiding the majority of the incidents and keeping your car clean enough to contend. I'm sure you're disappointed, but you put out a great effort and put on a good show.
I agree, man. I had a lot of fun racing, and these guys, I've known them for years. It's the first time I've taken part in something they've done, but I'll definitely be doing a lot more of it. And I gotta say, fabulous job, you guys, on broadcasting this. I was actually watching on another screen in my room. I almost had as much fun watching it as I did racing in it.
Well, we certainly had fun up here watching you guys go at it, and we hope you all had just as much fun out there on the track. We hope all those watching had some fun watching this broadcast, and we hope that you'll take part in the next one, and everybody out there watch.
I agree, man. All right, send a shout out to all my friends back at the IWCR. I know there's about 10 of them sitting in a TeamSpeak room watching this right now, so give them all a shout out and say hey.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for our post-race interviews. I guess that'll wrap it up for the race here in Talladega. Your last words here, Tyler?
This has just been the Aaron's 3, whatever the heck it ended up being. A really, really crazy race. Lots of carnage. Like I said, a spectacle for the eyes. If you like to see crashes, you certainly got what you wanted out of this race. But all in all, the finish was certainly memorable.
Yeah, that might be an understatement.
And what I'm going to take away from this race is the winner, Triffin Davis, with the car that he was running. Really touching, and I think the most redeeming quality of this race, all in all.
I have to agree with you on that. Special thanks to our tech guy over there, Case Brinksma, for bringing you what you saw today, and you, Tyler, commentating alongside me, and all of you that watched. We hit 85 viewers at one point. That was pretty cool.
Absolutely. We hope that each and every one of you, or at least most of you, will join us for our next event whenever it may come. Obviously, be looking out on the iRacing forums or other forms of social media to see when our next event will be.